Okay, let's see. I think I'm ready to go. That's off, that's off. Is this off? Let's make sure this is off. Okay, yeah, that's off. And that's turned on. The stream is live. Everything is working. I do believe we are ready to start. So let's go ahead and get this started. Hello! Shadowcat back, and it's a weird day. It's a weird day. So, my day started at like 1 a.m. And that was waking up to take family back to the airport because they had to go home. And so my day started approximately 9 hours ago. And you know, that's not your normal kind of thing. You know, don't usually do that every day. What's weird is that apparently I'm not the only person who was up at that time. So I've got family traveling home this morning. JP is in the chat and warns that JP is also traveling because JP is moving. And so that means that I got two people in my kind of orbit here who are currently either on the road, in the air, whatever, they're traveling. At the same time, Tux is in the chat, and, you know, given that I was up at 1 a.m., I was also able to see the Discord. By the way, we have a Discord. If you'd like to join the Discord, should be linked down below, assuming that the link works, and if it doesn't work, leave a comment down below and I will get you a working link, I promise. But the fact is that I was up that early, only to find out that Tux was also up that early. So, like, nobody slept last night, and I don't know why. I'm starting to wonder if it's something in the water. Either way, though, we will have to deal with it as it comes. So, we're gonna get into it. It's gonna be an interesting day. We are all sleep deprived, or at least two of us in the chat are sleep deprived, because you know technically I'm in the chat too. I don't know, JP, did you get a good night's sleep? I hope you got a good night's sleep. You deserve a good night's sleep. I deserve one too, but you know what? We don't all get what we deserve. Sometimes we get the things we don't deserve. For me, that was no, I can't do that. I deserve to wake up at 1 a.m. This was all my machinations. Anyway, though, last time we were here, we started working on the Astra Militaris vehicles. And we made a nice list. I have improved the list, so I mean that's working better. We also got their weapons done. Tux says the link below fails miserably. I'm not surprised. When you get your server link from Discord, it gives you options. You can set it to expire in like an hour, a day, a week. You can set it to expire at a certain amount of times, or you can set the link to never expire. I have done it like 3 times, and each time it's because people say it doesn't work, and each time I have set it to never expire. And yet it expires every single time, I think. I don't get it. I don't understand. So I will work on getting a new link for that. Anybody who wants a link, anybody who needs a link, just leave a comment down below and I will make sure to message you the link directly. Okay? It'll be a brand new, fresh link. It'll be your link. It'll be just for you. So we'll get that straightened out. Anyway, vehicles, weapons, we did them. There weren't really as many as we thought there were. Yet. And we did manage to consolidate things pretty easily. For example, when we did the laser weapons, there's several laser weapons, including I think it was a volcano cannon. I think the volcano cannon was a laser weapon. However, the volcano cannon, despite, you know, the name, is just a really big laser. Okay, it's a really big laser. But the thing about Starfinder is that, you know, we can change the size of these things. So all we gotta do is make a vehicle laser that will fit multiple size categories, and the lower categories will just be heavy lasers, and the higher categories will just be, bigger lasers. And so that works. That should work. Oh, and I also found out over the last week that apparently Starfinder 2 is coming, which means that everything that we've done here is going to be woefully out of date, but that's okay. I haven't gotten into Pathfinder 2 yet. I haven't even looked at Starfinder 2, and I'm reluctant. I have some reservations. I've heard that Pathfinder 2 is good. However, I've also heard that Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition is good, and 5th Edition is not good. I'm not going to say that 5th Edition is not playable, because it is absolutely playable, and people are playing it a whole lot right now. My problem with 5th Edition is that when Dungeons & Dragons 4th Edition came out, they wanted to open up Dungeons & Dragons to the mass market, okay? And that meant that they had to take this game that had enough books that they had to be wheeled in on a cart. And they had to simplify it down to one book that essentially everybody could play with. And then you could get like your supplementary materials and things like that, but they had to try and simplify everything. And when they tried to simplify everything, they butchered it. 4th edition was an absolute goddamn nightmare. It just ripped things out of the game. Okay, it shredded the game, it destroyed the mechanics, it obliterated the lore, it was bad. Nobody liked it. Like, at all. And so, under normal circumstances, you would think that this would be an opportunity for Wizards of the Coast to go back and look and say, people don't like this. Perhaps we should go back to the thing that they did like and just try to improve on that. Wizards of the Coast did not, in fact, do that. They decided to go ahead with 5th edition by refining 4th edition, keeping the stripped-down, gutted, simplified Dungeons & Dragons, but just trying to make it better. And what they ended up with was something that actually does play fairly well. However, it is far, far from perfect. One of the largest complaints about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is that it plays like a video game. Because your choices that you make in the game largely feel like they do not matter. You are given some options when you make your character, however, even character making it's just an exercise in, a pick-your-own-adventure book. Sure, you have choices, but those choices are all spelled out for you. You don't actually have a whole lot of freedom when it comes to making your character. You're just allowed to pick one of the pre-made characters and piece it together like Frankenstein. And this is why I haven't done a lecture in a while because I've had family over, and believe me, when I say family, I mean, to give you an idea, when I say I've had family over, I have had, hold on, I need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 adults come through this household, along with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children? And I miscounted the adults because there's like 5 more. I've had somewhere in the area about 15 people and 15 adults and 10 children come through this house in the last few weeks. There's been a lot. So, I haven't had time for a lecture. I have barely been able to get out my tabletop live streams. My next lecture is going to be on Dungeons & Dragons and how it was originally supposed to be played and why it was good. because like the whole making characters thing was significantly different. People don't really do it that way anymore, and we lost something because of that. The point is, though, that 5th edition massively reduced the amount of choices that you could make, and now it plays like a video game. It's all of just literally skill rotations. If you've ever played an MMO, you know what I'm talking about. But skill rotations are, you have a skill bar with X number of skills on it, usually about 10. You know, numbers 1 through 0. And for the maximum efficiency, you use all of those skills in a certain order. And that order is literally going to be skill 6, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, until things recharge, and then 8, and then 2, 3, 4. And you can just continue on like that. And it's one of the things that makes MMOs kind of boring, because it's very, very repetitive, and they turned 5th edition into that. You're going to have a list of abilities, you're going to have a list of feats, and things that you can perform, but optimally, you're just going to have this list of abilities, and turn 1 is this, turn 2 is this, turn 3 is this, and there's not really a whole lot of deviation from that, and not a lot of reasons to deviate, because you didn't really get a whole lot of choices in what you wanted to do in the first place. Now, I go on that massive tangent because when Pathfinder 2 came out, and Starfinder 2 for that matter, their main competition was Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and to that end, I've heard that they copied a lot of things from it to help streamline the game. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of things do need to be streamlined. As anybody who has played in my tabletop group who is currently playing Star Trek, and still going to get that series out there, I'm working on it, it's been busy. But anyone who has played in my Star Trek games knows that the game can drag, particularly in combat, but even outside of combat, sometimes the game can drag, because there's a lot of things that happen and you can only move so fast. So streamlining is a good thing. Can't complain about that. But if you streamline it by removing a lot of things, that's like saying you're going to make your car faster by removing the seats. Technically, yes, you have made your car faster. It's now lighter. It's faster, it's more maneuverable, but it has no seats. Do you really want to drive it now? And the answer is no, you don't. So, I mean, tabletop gaming is not in a good place right now. It's really not. I will look into Pathfinder 2. I will look into Starfinder 2. I mean, I have no intention of moving on because I feel like these give a lot more options. But it does mean that a lot of what we're doing here is pretty much outdated already. Not that we can't still play it, and we will still play it because it is excellent. But I do feel like we should probably look into maybe making something that works with more modern games too. That's for the future, though. We're definitely not getting into that today. I mean, I don't even have the Pathfinder 2 books yet. Instead, why don't we get to work on what we have now? So we'll bring in our spreadsheet, we'll bring in our browser, and we will get to work. And the first thing I did to try and speed things along here is I went ahead and I organized all of our vehicles into weight classes. So now or not weight class, but size classes. So now I have a better idea of what we're going to be making them in the first place. I also went through and adjusted some sizes. I think I need to go back to the Eldar and the Tau and change a few of these things, because going by the space and reach chart, huge is absolutely a 20 by 20 area. Gargantuan is technically anything 32 feet to 64 feet. So I tried to get a happy medium there. It comes out to about 45. So like all of these super heavy vehicles, they're going to be roughly 45 by 45. and technically, I don't know, command airspace 45 feet over them, we can adjust these things as we go. And then Colossal is going to be anything 65 feet or greater. So, I mean, 65 feet is a 13 square line, and then square, and then cube, and that's enormous. Like, your character occupies 1 square. There's just a colossal thing is so huge. It's not even funny. I mean, if there was ever going to be a Titan, that's it. But anyway, I got everything here organized into sizes. A lot of these are going to be kind of all the same, like the Macarius, Baneblade, and Stormblade. They're all basically kind of the same tank, just different outfits. So we'll just make one gargantuan tank, and that should be all we need. First, though, when we last left off here, we were working on weapons. And we had just finished up... Oop, too far. We had just finished up with the Multi-Melta, which is a large heavy weapon, and it's a vehicle weapon. And we made it large heavy because Space Marines are large creatures. And so because they are a large creature, that means that a Space Marine would be able to wield this thing like any other heavy weapon, but because it is a large weapon and a heavy weapon, there is basically no way that any normal person would be able to use this. So we've got the autocannon, we've got the Multi-Melta, and now we're ready to get started on the next one. And that next one is a plasma cannon. Which, I mean, you know, it makes sense. Plasma cannon. They use them. So let's go ahead and get this started. We're going to do a plasma cannon. We'll copy this. This will come down here. We will copy all of our headers. And we're going to do Plasma Cannon 1, Plasma Cannon 2, Plasma Cannon 3, and Plasma Cannon 4. Just so it lines up with our Space Marines. Oh, and JP said that's a lot of people coming through. JP, you have no idea. I mean, to give you an idea, we, you know, like most, you know, good Americans, and we are good Americans, we set off fireworks for the 4th of July, okay? Because, I mean, that's what you do. You have yourself a cookout, you wear your stars and stripes, red, white, and blue, and you shoot off fireworks because there is nothing more quintessentially American than blowing things up. Okay? Everybody does it on the 4th of July because that's just what you do. We actually had 3 fireworks shows while family was here, because some family came in on the 4th, some came in before the 4th, some came in after the 4th. We had 3 fireworks shows, and I gotta tell you, I hate fireworks. I am mostly blind, but I have bat ears, okay? My ears are amazing, and there is nothing more that I hate than loud noises. And mortar shells going off right overhead are very loud. So yeah, we had a lot of people coming through. We had different family from all over the country. We had Texas, California, we even had international. It was a lot. And JP says 3 shows? That's expensive. Oh, trust me, everything about the last few weeks has been expensive. Like you would not believe. It has been crazy. Okay, so damage. We're gonna have to look back to Starfinder here. and see exactly what we're looking at. Sniper weapons, no. Heavy weapons. Projectiles, plasma, here we go. So we got cannons here, we got plasma cannons. Which are good, because that's literally what we're looking for. Plasma cannons. And it looks like these are mostly using D10s. Okay. So we're going to have to step things up. And it looks like we already stepped things up for the multi-melta, which is why we're using D12s up here. And I'm thinking we can do the same thing here. So for the plasma cannon, I think I can literally copy this. With one exception. Because plasma does electrical and fire. So I just have to add in the electrical on these, and we should be good to go. And last one. There, good. So it's just, you know, it's a different weapon, different type of damage. Plasma cannons do get to burn. And with the meltas, right, so the meltas are going to do extra damage when they get a critical, that's fine. Ranges on these. So the plasma cannons actually have really good range. These are all 100 feet. And it's pretty solid across the board. So ranges for these, I'm going to up them to 120 feet. And I'm just going to keep it constant because these are all constant. I mean, why mess with what works? The burning. This is going to be burn 1d6. Burn 2d6. Burn 4d6. And burn... Oh, wait, no, not burn 46. I screwed that up. I go half, so this is going to be a burn 1d4. And this is going to be burn 1d6. Is it? No, actually I think that was right. Hold on, let me undo that. Okay. Burn 1d6, yes, 2d6, 4d6. No, I'm doing this right. I got this right. What am I doing? I'm second guessing myself. I am sleep deprived. Unless I have the number of dice too. I should be having the number of dice too, not just the size of it. So yeah, this should be burn 1d6. It should be burn 2d6. Burn 4d6. And that means that up here we have to go down to a half a dice of half size. So technically it's going to be a burn 1d4. Which, you know, not the worst thing. Not the worst thing. Capacity of these things use charges, so I'm just going to go with the standard template that we've used before. As soon as I can find it, I know we've used it. Here we go, capacity. Capacity and usage. We'll copy that. And we'll plug it in. Now, bulk, it's all going to be 5s. There we go. Dice. So, with dice, I gotta keep in mind... things like criticals and specials. Plasma cannons, however, do not have anything special about them. It's just electrical and fire damage. It does have a critical, but the critical doesn't actually apply for vehicle weapons, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be a +4. There we go, +4, +4, +4. And it can be any. Okay, it can be any size. And again, that is going to give us all the different kinds of plasma cannons that we need. So we'll have everything from the very basic ones that are basically just the Astartes handheld heavy plasma cannon mounted on a vehicle, all the way up to the, I don't even know what they're called now, just the big ones. To that end, I actually did find a page, and it is here. It's the Astra Militarum weapon list. It's got everything. So, like, here's the autocannon, so that's great. Behemoth cannon, that's vehicle mounted. It's got field artillery listed. Oh, you can't really see that. So yeah, it's got all these weapons we've already got. It's got a lot of other ones too. Cascade Gatling cannon, I think we saw the Conqueror battle cannon, Earthshaker cannon. A lot of these we already saw. And so I don't feel like we need to go into all of these again. Nothing here really jumps out to me, but I mean, there's the plasma cannon. So, you know, that's always fun. Plasma destroyer, though. Okay, so plasma destroyer. If we look at plasma destroyer, this is mounted on a Lehman Russ Executioner and the Deimos pattern Predator Executioner. See. Capable of incinerating flesh and blasting apart power armor. It excels in the role of siege warfare and long-range tank hunting. It is highly temperamental and dangerous in the minds of many, requiring a sense of foolhardy bravery to operate. Let's see. It doesn't really say that much about it, but it's essentially just a larger version of a plasma cannon. So if you want a plasma destroyer, make sure that you get your plasma cannon in the larger sizes. So we've got this list. It's a cool list. I'm glad that I found it, but it doesn't do us as much good as I thought that it would. And that's fine. We don't really need it that much. So that takes care of plasma cannons. And we can go ahead and delete that one. And that brings us to las cannons. And as you might have guessed, las cannons are just laser cannons. So, las cannon. Again, we'll copy this down here so we know what it is. It's a large heavy weapon or a vehicle weapon. We will copy our headers down here. And then we can get to work. Now, interestingly, I don't know how we're going to do the damage on this. Let's take a look at, well, no, first let me get everything formatted properly. So, this would be las cannon 1, las cannon 2, las cannon 3, las cannon 4. The levels will remain the same. Price doesn't really matter right now. Damage. Okay, this is where things are going to get a little weird. Let's see what heavy lasers look like. So this is heavy plasma. Here we go. Heavy lasers. The artillery laser does 1d10. And the auto beam laser, which is an automatic weapon, does 1d8. The last cannon is not automatic, so we know we're not looking at that. The artillery laser is, well, the basic one is a D10. After that, this is D8, D8. D8s, D8s, D8s. You know what? Since we're making an upgrade on that, the artillery laser, I feel like we should just go with the D10s, because that seems to be the next step up. They also all have penetrating, which is interesting. So the ranges on these are also huge. So what I think we're going to end up with is we're going to have another penetrating weapon similar to the Multi-Melta. Where the Multi-Melta has a very short range and does very good damage. The last cannon will do a little bit less damage, but it's going to have great range. So the damage is all going to be D10s. So it's going to be 1d10 fire, 2d10 fire, 4d10 fire, and then 8d10 fire. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Do these get criticals? Actually, they do get criticals. They burn things, and we'll work on that. The range, however, so the range on these lasers is 120 feet at level 1 and 150 feet at level 2. So they do advance a little bit. I think we can do that. I think we can do that. So we're going to start at 120 feet. But then we're going to go up, and I think we'll go up by... It caps out at 150. Okay, actually no. That's the heavy weapon. This is going to be like a super heavy weapon, so we're gonna kick things up a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and add 20 feet, so it's going to be 140 feet. And then we'll go ahead and kick it up by 10s, actually. So 150 feet, 160 feet, 170 feet. That should be fine. The criticals, though. So for the criticals, I want to have the number of dice, and I want to have the number on the dice. So this is going to be a burn. Actually, I don't know if I want to have the number or the size of the die, because these aren't. This auto beam is 4d8. It burns for 2d8. This artillery laser is 7d8. It burns for 4d6. Okay, it actually does lower the number. The Zenith artillery laser is 98 fire damage. It burns for 5d6. So yeah, okay, we're gonna step the dice down. So if I step the dice down, that would be a d8. But I still have to have the number of dice, so that's going to be a d4, yes. This is going to be a burn for 1d8. This one is going to be a burn for 2d8 and a burn for 4d8. Okay? Just like the plasma cannon, it's going to use these same stats. So that's all going to stay the same. However, I'm actually going to... Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I just borrowed everything from there. I'm going to borrow the vehicle stats and special from the Multi-Melta. Okay. Because all of these artillery lasers have penetrating, and I'm going to leave that with them. So you can have the last cannon to do less damage from further away and still have penetrating, or you can get the Multi-Melta, get in there real close, and just absolutely liquefy things. Which I think is a good trade-off. You have your choice. Do you want to be safe, play the long game? Do you want to play reckless, high risk, high reward? It works. Me personally, I am the cautious safe player. I like to stay as far away from the entire thing as I can. It's usually safer that way. Okay, so that's the last cannon, which is good. Which brings us to the heavy flamer. And, oh, I forgot something. So this is powered by batteries. Actually, I shouldn't put that there. I should put that over capacity. So, batteries. Batteries. The multi-melta actually uses petrol, and I do have it written down there. It's just, it should go over capacity, because that makes more sense. And the autocannon, this uses heavy rounds, I believe. Right? Arrows, petrol, rounds, heavy. Yes, rounds, heavy. So, rounds, heavy. And we're going to go back to petrol now with the heavy flamer. Copy and paste. Copy and paste. So, heavy flamer 1, heavy flamer 2, heavy flamer 3, and heavy flamer 4. Come on, brain. I need you to work. I need to still be able to type. I know you're sleep deprived. There's no rest for the wicked, and I am absolutely wicked. Okay, so, now is where I gotta try and find a flamethrower, and I know that there's one in here. I know it's in here somewhere. Let's see, screamers, these are all grenades? No. I'm in heavy weapons. So that's reaction cannons. Flame, here we go, flamethrowers. And these are absolutely heavy weapons. So we've got flamethrowers. There's the Ifrit class flamethrower, Salamander, Hellhound, Fire Drake, and Phoenix class. Good stuff, ranging from level 2 to level 18, and we can make that work for us. So, the way the flamethrowers work is they are all analog, because they don't use power, they use petrol, they are all unwieldy, which is kind of obvious, and they all have the blast property. And the blast property fires in a cone that extends only to its first range increment. You cannot attack beyond that. For each attack you make with the weapon with the blast property, you roll one attack against each target in the cone, starting with those closest to you. Each attack takes a -2 penalty in addition to other penalties, such as the penalty to all attacks during a full attack. Roll damage only once for all targets. If you roll one or more critical hits, roll the extra critical damage only once, or any other special effects. So attacks with blast ignore concealment, which is awesome. There is no hiding from the flames of the Imperial Justice. So, we already know that for special, this is going to be analog, blast, and unwieldy. And we can go ahead and copy that down. The range, however, now this is where things are going to get interesting. So the ranges on these basically cap out at 30 feet. So you have the Ifrit class, which is only 15, but as soon as you hit level 8, you get Salamander, it's 30 feet, and it's 30 feet all the way down. So we're going to do better than that. And what I think I'm going to do is at the level 4 one, I'm going to give it more range than the level 2 one. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be 20 feet, which, you know, is not great, but it's only level 4 flamer. Then I think we'll go up by 10s. So we'll have 30 feet, 40 feet, and 50 feet, which means at level 9, this thing meets the same range as the Phoenix class flamethrower, However, it keeps going up, which means that there is an absolute reason to carry this instead of the other ones. Damage. So these flamethrowers all deal in D6s. We're going to step those up to D8s. So this is going to be a 1d8 fire, 2d8 fire, 4d8 fire, and then 8d8 fire. Because fire is all it does. The capacity is going to be 20. No, just 20. Just 20, okay? Hold on. Hold on. We'll just copy this from the multi-melta. There, done. The critical is burning. Alright, so if we have the dice in the top one, it's a D4. If I have the numbers, though, I have to have the size again, so it'll be a burn for 1d2. But then we get to go up to burn 1d4. Burn for 2d4, and burn for 4d4. Perfect. And JP says, holding on. Okay, you can unhold now. You can unhold. Although, that does remind me of a tangent. Guess what? It's tangent time! Tangent time! While I finish up the rest of this. So, I live in Pennsylvania, and I'm not going to tell you where in Pennsylvania. I'm not that dumb. However, I can give you an idea where in Pennsylvania I live because I went to a place called Knoebels. And if you've never heard of it, number one, if you look it up, yes, you do pronounce the K. It's actually spelled Knobels. But you have to pronounce the K. If you just say Nobles, people here throw things at you. Look, I don't make the rules, okay? I don't make the rules. So, we went there, and I don't really do rides usually. I've really lost my tolerance for rides as I've gotten older, so I really don't do them. And even then, I usually stick to most of the rides that are on the ground. But no, we wanted to go on roller coasters, so I ended up going on roller coasters. The most common descriptor of me from other family that was there is that I looked like one of those cats that dug its claws into the dashboard when he tried to take it to the vet. Because I just grabbed onto the damn thing and held on for dear life as it went this way and that way and up and down and upside down and twisted around and everything else. It was a thing. And so, yeah, that happened. I was less than thrilled. I mean, I handled it okay. I wasn't nauseous or anything getting off the roller coasters. I was a little unsteady on a few of them getting off, especially the one that went straight up and then straight down. And then it basically did what I think was the suicide coaster, where it just does a whole bunch of loops in a series, each one getting smaller and smaller until you just kind of paste into the back of your roller coaster car. Somehow I survived that, which means that I may be one of the toughest people in the world. But yeah, it was a time. I'm not in a hurry to go back. All right, vehicle dice for this thing. I am... You know what? It just occurred to me. It just occurred to me, why do I have it set for just one size of, or one quantity of dice for all of it? I could have these escalating. Or no, wait, the reason I did that is because the other ones don't do that. The hell was that? There's a thunderstorm outside. Where did that come from? Did anyone else hear the thunder? I don't know if my microphone picked up the thunder. A thunderstorm snuck up on me. That's either a critical failure on my perception or a critical success on its stealth. One or the other. That means I need to go close a window, so, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back now, and things are only slightly wet. And by slightly wet, I mean I will probably have to get a towel after that later. Seriously, storm just came out of nowhere. Okay, though, where were we? Right! I was trying to assign dice to a heavy flamer. Tux says, well, let it inside. Don't keep it standing out there in the rain. Keep what's down. I'm talking about the rain. I don't want the rain inside, okay? This is not a case of if you're cold, they're cold, let them in, okay? The rain has to stay outside. I have limits. Alright, so, vehicle dice for this thing. It is just a heavy flamer. I don't put it on par with the plasma cannon. I'm thinking we're just going to copy the dice from the last cannon and we'll leave it at that. That means that this thing is going to do 3d4 on a light or a small heavy flamer all the way up to, well, I mean, technically speaking, a small weapon does d4s, a medium weapon does d6s, a large weapon does d8s, but there's no reason we can't keep going. If it was a huge mount, and you can't put larger weapons than your frame, but a huge flamer would do d10s, a gargantuan flamer would be doing d12s. So that means the gargantuan flamer would be doing 3d12 inside of a cone. And, I mean, once you get above d12s, it's essentially 2d10s. So, I mean, if we had Titans, then the Titan Flamers would be doing 2d10s. So yeah, I mean, that actually scales pretty well. That scales pretty well. I'm happy with this. Oh, by the way, I should mention that, like, it should go without saying, but if I lose power, the stream is over. I mean, I feel like I don't need to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I lose power, the stream is over. Because I'm not going to be able to do anything. I have battery backups on my computers, but I can't keep the whole house up that way. So we won't have internet. Tuck says, I'm now going to attempt to do Dungeons and Dragons as I try to stay awake. I mean, good luck with that. Okay, so that's our heavy flamer, and that is the last of our handheld weapons. Everything else is vehicle only. Which means that we can start over here now. But I'm happy with that. I'm actually happy with this. This is good. Like, part of me really wants to see an Astartes character because I want to see some of these weapons actually carried into battle. I think that would be a lot of fun. I just don't know how I'd make it work. I mean, I suppose I could. It would be possible to make an Astartes race if I dialed them back. Because Astartes as written are like absolutely level 20 characters. We would have to really dial back their stats. If we did that though, maybe we can use some of these weapons. I'll have to think about it. But okay, let's work on the rest of the vehicle weapons so then we can move on to the actual vehicles themselves. Because like, I want to get some actual vehicles done today. So, Star Cannon, we don't need that. But we're going to do an actual vehicle weapon now. So what vehicle weapon? We're going to do the multi-laser. So, multi-laser. And this is a vehicle weapon. Alright, so now that this is just strictly a vehicle weapon, this should go a little bit faster because I don't have to try and balance everything. So the multi-laser, and this is going to be a multiple size weapon. It's going to be a little bit lighter in damage just because of what it is and what it does. So for the multi-laser, we're going to go ahead and use the auto beam artillery heavy weapon as a basis, because this actually does have the automatic property, and so will the multi-laser. So these are doing about half of the damage of the actual last cannon. And I can work with that. The last cannon, of course, was doing 1d10. And so we're going to have to work on that. It was doing d10s. And so if we were to compare that, the vehicle dice here, that's going to be, if I multiply them by 3, that's going to be 12 for d4s, 18 for d6s, 24 for d8s, 30 for d10s. How do I get a good balance here? If I had to do d8s, that would be 1d8 here, that'd be the equivalent of 2d4. Next one would be 4d8. 8d8 would be 64. 64 divided by 4 would be 16. Is any of this helping me? No, it's really not helping me. No, I'm just gonna have to wing this one. There's no way that I can use that as a guide. The damage... I think the damage is going to be... I'm going to go with 2 dice. And the reason I'm going to go with 2 dice is just because... Oh, I gotta reformat this. Is because it's going to be hitting a lot of targets. The range is where I think it's going to excel, because the ranges on these, the auto beam artillery is going to be 120, 120, 120, so we'll stick with that. We'll go with 120 feet. The type is going to be fire damage. The size can be any. The capacity... So the capacity for this thing... I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 in capacity. Because it is an automatic weapon, but I'm not going to use automatic rules, okay? I'm not going to use automatic rules. I'm just going to say that it is a blast weapon. It's a blast weapon. I mean, that's how it's going to operate, because that's what automatic weapons do. And actually, the range for the automatic weapon is going to be 120. But remember, with an automatic weapon, when you fire it in automatic mode, you double the amount of ammunition being used for each target, and you have the range. So instead of being 120, it's only going to be 60 feet. Which is still, you know, a lot. It's still a big area. If you're coming up against one of these things, I would suggest, like, flank it quickly. And I do mean run, because at 60 feet, if most characters only move 30 feet per round, that means that even if you hustle, which is just a double move, you're still going to be within that cone. You're going to need to run if you want to flank whatever vehicle has this. Because vehicles, they use kind of the same rules as starships. When you mount your weapon, you have to pick a facing. So they all have, they're all on squares. So it either points forward, backward, left, or right. If it's pointed forward, you're going to want to get into that right area. So yeah, multi-laser, kind of terrifying, and I like that it's terrifying. It should be. Next, battle cannon. Another weapon that is going to... It's going to be any size you want, and this will cover any size of cannon that you're desiring. If you want just like a regular little battle cannon, or if you're looking for something like a Devastator cannon. There we go. Alright. Like all vehicle weapons, there is only one. Range, however. So this is just a cannon. Let's go up here and look at these. So we've got these reaction cannons. These fire 90 feet, but you know what? I'm going to go up to the top tier of these reaction cannons. Oh, PC Unicorn's in the chat. It says multi do not pass. I mean, maybe multi-pass. Multi-pass. It's a joke. If you've never seen the movie, it's a joke. Go watch the damn movie. It's really good. The movie is The Fifth Element. Okay? It's weird. Okay? Don't get me wrong. The Fifth Element is weird. But it's really good. It's one of those movies like there will never be another one of them. There will never be anything like it. It stands alone. Okay, so the range on the reaction cannon is going to be 100 feet, and I'm good with that. Be 100 feet. The damage on this thing is 12d10. I can't give it 12d10 though. What I can do is say 12d10 is going to be 120. You know, I wonder if maybe I should make these things equivalent. Like, at 12d10, let me get a calculator up here for a minute, because I want to do some math. Some quick and dirty math. So 12d10 is 120. If I divide that by 4, that comes out to 30 damage. Or 30 dice. However, my home rules are any damage that's done by a vehicle is multiplied by 5. I mean, yeah, it's multiplied by 5. So 120 divided by 5 is 24. If I then divide that by 4, that gives me a 6. So if I wanted to get like really accurate, I would say the reaction cannon should do like 6 dice. And that would put it on par with like the top tier of heavy weapons here. And that's for D4s. They only get bigger from there. Like, technically speaking, if you made like a gargantuan, okay, or a colossal. So let's do some quick and dirty math here. So D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, 2D10. So if this thing does, if we were to put this thing on like a Titan, plus 6 dice, if it's 2d10s, that's going to be 12d10s. So 12d10s, we just saw, that's 120. And then if we multiply that by 5, that is over 600 damage. And, I mean, over 600 damage is the kind of thing that we would expect if you were being shot at by a Titan. Even at the lowest level, if we're looking at like a small reaction cannon, 60 force is 24, times 5 is going to be about 120. Right? Yes? Because that's what I literally just did. 24 times 5, 120. Yeah. So, max damage for a vehicle, it caps out at 120, which is terrifying, but it's appropriately terrifying. The type is going to be piercing. The size can be any. Capacity. I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a 20-round magazine. I mean, I wonder how many rounds just like an M1 Abrams tank carries. Let me do some quick research. Google. How many shells does an Abrams carry? Okay, the elevation, armor, main armament. Ah, here we go. The main armament is a 120 millimeter smoothbore gun, and it carries about 40 rounds. The M1A1 carries 40, the M1A2 carries 42 rounds, but I mean, that's fine. Apparently the original M1 Abrams tank had a rifled barrel. I wonder why they swept it up for a smoothbore. Okay, though. I'm good with that. Capacity. 40. It's the future. We can at least do this. And the special, penetrating. Because that's what these reaction cannons have. They have penetrating. So there we go. With the multi-laser, actually, I'm going to recheck this. I'm going to go back for a second and recheck this. Plasma. Okay, artillery laser. So the Zenith artillery laser caps out at 9 times 8. That's 72 damage. Okay. 72 damage. We're gonna go down to 70 just to make it easy. If we divide that by 5, that's 14. And then, I can't divide 14 by 4, but I can divide 12 by 4. So, I'm actually going to kick this up to 3 dice. Now, I'm not going to increase the capacity at all because it needs to stay pretty limited. In fact, I might kick it down a little bit. I'm going to take it down to 5. But there we go. That is pretty well inlaid with a top-notch heavy weapon. So we can go ahead and delete these. Okay, the Gatling cannon. It's going to be a vehicle weapon. I'll copy my headers down. And this is going to be essentially the same thing as the multi-laser, just in a different weapon type. So for the Gatling cannon, reaction cannon, machine gun. Here we go. The X-Gen gun, which is automatic. This thing has a range of 120 feet. So I'm just going to automatically have that. And we're just going to, essentially it's going to be the same thing as the last cannon, 60 feet. The damage, this thing does 9d12. So we'll do some quick and dirty math here. 9 times 12 is 108. If I divide that by 5, it's a bad number, but it's about 20. If I divide that by 4, that comes out to 5. So the damage will be plus 5 die. The type is going to be piercing. The size can be any. The capacity is only going to be 5 because it is, an automatic weapon. And because it is an automatic weapon, it will have the blast quality. So it'll have 5 blasts in it. Still, though, very similar to the multi-laser, we're looking at something really good here. It's going to be great. It's going to be terrifying. And I love it. Okay, next is the Hunter-Killer Missile. And this is going to be interesting because I don't actually know anything about this. So, Hunter-Killer Missile. And we're going to do a little bit of reading on this. So, vehicle. I'm going to copy our headers down. Hunter-Killer Missile. Let's go ahead and format this while we're here. It's a vehicle weapon. Okay. So, let's take a look and see if we can figure out what a Hunter-Killer Missile is. Missile launcher? Let's see if this will show us what it is. That's just this is just like a handheld missile launcher. Let's see, vehicle and artillery. Ah, here we go. H. Do we see the hunter killers in here? No, not really. Oh wait, here we go. Missile types. Missile types. Anti-plant missiles, atomic missiles, blind missiles, concussion missiles, Disruptor, Flak, Frag, Gas, Haywire, Crack. Ah, here we go. Hunter-Killer Missile. Effectively a crack missile with an extended range. Alright, let's read. So, the Hunter-Killer Missile is used by the Imperial Guard, Space Marines, Inquisition, Sisters of Battle as a common upgrade for vehicles. They are effectively crack missiles with a massively extended range, although only one can be mounted on a vehicle due to their vast size. They are also unique in that they are guided weapons with an onboard artificial intelligence known as a Logis engine. Sensors in the missile's nose transmit information on the target and surrounding environment to this Logis engine, which guides the missile in flight by manipulating its stabilizing fins, allowing the missile to match the target's movements and avoid obstacles. The missile's warhead is an impact-fused shape charge designed for maximum armor penetration. Other instruments include an internal gyroscope for stable flight and a small battery to power the sensor and Logis engine. Varieties of the Hunter-Killer missile do exist, including the Deliverance, the Avenger, and the Voss patterns. Okay. Oh, it even shows us here. The Deliverance, the Avenger, and the Voss. So they're all kind of different, but they're all basically the same thing. They are just one big anti-vehicle missile. And so that's kind of what we need it to be. Okay, so the range. These things are defined by their incredible range. And so I think I am going to give it a full mile. I'm going to say 1 mile. That is long enough that we will not necessarily have to calculate anything. The damage on this thing. So it is designed to destroy vehicles. To that end, I want to look at vehicles, okay? I want to look at vehicles, and that's because I want to look at what would it take to destroy a vehicle, okay? So let's go for something big. We got a medium-wheeled vehicle here, large wheeled vehicle, okay? And how much HP does a large wheeled vehicle have? A large wheeled vehicle has 60. Okay, so 60. Now, this weapon is going to be very specific. Like, it's not going to come in any size, so we got to figure out what size we want it to be. And then we can figure out dice. What do we got here? Large flying vehicle. Large flying vehicles can have 100. What do we got here? Medium submersible, don't really care. Large submersible, don't really care. Tracked vehicles. A large tracked vehicle can have up to 250. That's the number we should probably be going for. So, up to 250 damage. So, 250 damage, and in order to break this thing, it needs to be down to 62 hit points. So, let me just do, again, some quick and dirty math. So, 250 minus 62 means that it needs to do somewhere in the area of 188 damage to a vehicle. Now, the largest... Well, let's see if we can figure out what vehicles carry this thing. Let's find out what the smallest vehicle for carrying this thing would be. We're going to go into vehicles, and let's see if chimeras will carry this thing, because that's like one of the smallest vehicles we have. And even they're, you know, technically huge. So, Equipped with dozer blades, searchlights, multi-laser, heavy bolter, heavy flamers, demolishers, hellhounds. Here we go. While other common modifications include camo netting, a dozer blade, extra armor, a hunter-killer missile, and or pintle-mounted heavy stubbers or storm bolters. So, chimeras can and do carry hunter-killer missiles. When we look at our sheet here, chimeras fall under the huge category, which means, again, D4, D6, D8, D10. Okay. That means... Actually, before I do that, let me just... I don't think it does, but I want to make sure. Sentinels. Do these things carry a hunter-killer missile? The most common include camo netting, searchlight, smoke launchers, and or a hunter-killer... Oh, they can carry a hunter-killer missile. And they're small. So, like, I don't actually know how that's going to work out. All right. Well, let me just think about this for a minute. Because we need to do like a massive amount of damage. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I guess it is going to be a variable size. Okay? It is going to have to be a variable size. So I'm going to go ahead and say size is going to be any. The damage is going to be a plus 10. The type is going to be... because it is a shaped charge, it's going to be piercing. The capacity will only be 1. For the special, though, this is going to have to be guided, and I think we actually have rules for that. So let me just come all the way down to the bottom. Where are our other weapons? Because we have guided bombs. So here we go. These complex bombs allow for precision targeting to targets usually from flying vehicles. They remove the penalties for dumb bombs. These are limited to flying vehicles. Okay, so it's a reference to dumb bombs. These are designed to be dropped from a fixed position, usually from a flying vehicle. They tend to be bulky and are used in numbers to produce an area effect. These have a -6 to hit, but explode to fill a 30-foot diameter effective area. These are limited to flying vehicles. They can carry only as many as the size of the flying vessel. Height is not a factor for distance. Okay, so it's a guided bomb, which means it's not going to take any penalties to what it's doing. Which is good. I mean, that's fine. We want that. The dumb bombs explode, but it didn't say if the guided bombs did. Which is great. So it's going to be single target, it's going to be piercing, it's going to be guided. I may as well put that here. It's going to be guided. And so that should take care of that. Alright, that's pretty good. Now, because it is guided, I do feel like I need to point out that this thing cannot target creatures. Cannot target creatures, okay? There we go. So this thing is for vehicles and vehicles only. And we can say that it does not target creatures because, as it said, it's targeted by a Logis engine. It has an AI in it. The AI can just simply refuse to hit, whatever it is. Alright, so next, I'm going to go ahead and do the neutron laser. I'm going to go ahead and do the neutron laser because I'm going to leave the dozer blades for last. So we're going to copy, paste, move that up. Neutron laser. Okay. Now, this is another one of those things that we're going to need to get some information on. And the neutron laser is not in here. So we're going to go to weaponry. We're going to go to vehicle weapons and go to N for neutron laser projector. Okay, powerful and rare weapon used by the Imperial, mounted on the Valdor tank. See, it says rare, which leads me to believe that I shouldn't even bother. If it's rare, it's not likely you're going to find it. These little understood and highly unstable weapons emit powerful blasts that outmatch any other Imperial weapon of its size. The projector fires a neutron beam capable of destroying even the densest material by explosive matter disruption, smashing apart the target's molecular structure and creating a massive electromagnetic shock pulse which can disable electronic systems, while penetrating radiation disrupts any biological matter, though this only works against vehicles which lack thick shielding and protective mass of super heavy tanks. While this makes the weapon perfect for tank hunting, the neutron beam's unique nature means that it fails to transfer its energy discharge entirely to the target vehicle. A dangerous feedback loop can occur can cause the weapon to damage itself. The neutronic coil arc reactor, which powers the weapon, is also inherently unstable, and without the necessary reactor shielding, can be hazardous to operate. You know what? I feel like we don't actually need this thing. The odds of you actually getting one are so remote that if it did happen, I could write the stats up for it when it happens. I feel like we don't actually need this thing. So I'm going to get rid of it. And that just leaves us with the dozer blades. And this we do have to do. Alright, dozer blades. So range... This is going to be a little bit different, because a dozer blade is just a dozer blade. Okay, all it is a great big pushing bulldozer blade on the front of your tank. The damage, however, if you hit somebody with it, it's not a weapon. Okay, it's not a weapon, so it's not going to do that. The damage instead is going to increase RAM damage by one size category. The type is going to be bludgeoning. The size can be any. The capacity is not applicable because dozer blades don't run out of ammo. And the special, it doesn't really have a special. It just, oh, it actually does have a special. Ignore difficult terrain. Because that's literally what dozer blades do in 40k, is if you equip dozer blades, you can ignore difficult terrain as your vehicle moves across the map. But by increasing RAM damage by one size category, that means that if you were on, this Chimera, and you ram somebody, it being a huge vehicle, you get to do D10s, I think. No, it's D6s. It's all D6s, but you do 1 plus the size category, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 D6s. But with the dozer blade, you get an extra D6. Is it worth it? I don't know. Is it worth it to you? It's your vehicle. But there we go. There's dozer blades. And so that's all of our vehicle weapons. We've got multi-lasers, we've got battle cannons, Gatling cannons, hunter-killer missiles, which are kind of just... Yeah, I wouldn't want to get hit by one of those. I mean, max damage even on a small hunter-killer missile is going to be 40. Larger ones? But you only get one shot, so make it count, I guess. Alright. So with all of those vehicle weapons done, I think we can actually start working on actual vehicles. So why don't I come over here and grab a stat block from the Eldar. I'll paste it in here and we can get going with, let's just say, the propelled weapons. Okay, so the price on these I'm not worried about right now. It'd be a self-propelled weapon. Alright, so size. This is going to be small. The dimensions are just 5 by 5 by 5. And to this end, I don't really have stats for something like this, so we're going to have to get a little creative with this one. So, in general, when we look at these vehicles... Oops, wrong one. Nope, not that one. Here we go. Let's see. Astra Militarum vehicles. Self-propelled artillery. When I look at these, I see tracks, 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 tracks. They're all tracked vehicles. They're all pretty small tracked vehicles, though. And so what we're going to want to do is we're going to get a small tracked vehicle. The problem with that is there is no small tracked vehicle. We have medium tracked vehicles and large tracked vehicles. Yeah, so here's large tracked. Here's medium tracked. So what we're going to do is I think that we're going to take a medium track and then we're going to shrink it. And we have stats for that. I'm going to duplicate this because we're going to need it. So let's take the medium tracked vehicle. The speed is 30, 60, and... Right, because that's dumb. 30, 60, that's going to be... That's 3 miles an hour. If it's at full speed, that's going to be 6 miles an hour, actually, I think. I forget how we were figuring, maximum speed. So, it's going to be 30 feet... Full speed is going to be 60 feet. Oops, I did that wrong. $60 feet and travel speed. For right now, I'm just going to make it 13 miles an hour. I'll figure that out later. Okay. EAC and KC are both going to be 10. Cover is none. So it has 3 HP. It's broken at 1. And the hardness is 2. And, given a hardness of 2, basically any of these vehicle weapons that have penetrating will ignore all of its hardness. And all of those heavy weapons that we gave to the Astartes, if any of them have penetrating, it's going to ignore all of its hardness, like just right out the gate. You would need to have an upgraded and improved vehicle to even have a chance to resist that. The full attack is going to be collision, and that's just going to be, because it's a small, 3d6. So it's not much. The other attacks, though, depend on what you mount on it. So, piloting, it gets a +0 and a -1 at full speed. Modifications, though, this thing does get 2 modifications. One of those will obviously be your weapon. Passengers, however, is interesting. It's going to be 0. This thing does not have passengers. And so we can convert all of that passenger space into cargo. And I'm just going to say cargo bulk. That way we don't have to keep retyping this. So it's going to be 40 bulk that you can load onto this thing. It does mean that you will need to have somebody nearby it on foot to help control it. So I should probably put this up here. This is going to be remote controlled. And I'm going to say it's going to have a range of max range. Actually, if you improve it, why don't we make it better? So a max range of 5 feet per level, okay? That means that at a level 1, which is what this is, and it says right there, it's a level 1, you have to be standing right next to this thing to bring it into battle, okay? You basically have to walk right along with it. And that's fine because at the base speed increment, it moves 30. So you can literally walk alongside this thing and just drive it into battle. And then you can put whatever you want on it. I mean, it's great. You can do whatever you want. However, we have to miniaturize it now because it's still too big. Search for miniaturization. Okay, so this reduces the vehicle size and cover by 1 step while retaining its functionality and strength. This makes the vehicle suitable to be driven by small creatures or lightweight craft. The decrease of the vehicle frame caused by 25%. For example, turning a medium car into a tiny car. 2 steps would decrease the frame cost by 50%. And it's now capable of being piloted by tiny creatures. The new size affects the collision damage, but retains the original size for modification and add-on limits and costs. Okay. So everything else stays the same, but because we are reducing it, or reducing a medium to small, actually this doesn't change, because I already factored that in. Speed doesn't change, modifications doesn't change. Cover changes though, but this thing has no cover, which means that none of this actually matters. There's nothing else we have to do for this thing. It's done. I like it. Great, it's done. Fantastic. Okay. I'm not gonna be able to get through all of these vehicles today. There's just no way that I can do all this. So let's work on getting the Sentinel done, and I think after we get the Sentinel done, we may go ahead and call it a day. So we're going to copy this, down here. And we'll clear this out. Now for the Sentinel, this should actually be super easy. Because it's a medium walker, and that's like the default. So this is medium. The dimensions are going to be 10 by 10 by 10. And now we just got to find the stats. So we got tracked vehicles here. Medium bike. Medium watercraft. Large watercraft. Where's walkers? Large wheeled, medium wheeled. Example, where did I miss it? Here we go, medium walker. So, a medium-sized walker, commonly used in rough terrain to provide a variable platform for vehicles and used to explore or are armored as sentry units or as military walkers. They carry up to 2 medium passengers and a small cargo area. PC Unicorn says, I want to make a tank pilotable by tiny creatures with a giant wind-up key on the back of it. I mean, that would be adorable. And technically, you know what? The key would be cosmetic. It doesn't even have to be a functional key. You can just put it on there and make sure that it's animated so it spins around. Like, I don't even know that I would make it so that you took a modification penalty for that. That's just aesthetic. Like, the worst that it would do is it would probably give you a penalty on stealth checks. But it's a tank, so I don't think stealth is going to be your greatest stat anyway. So, yeah, you could totally make a tank pilotable by a mouse. And it would be adorable. I endorse this. I endorse mouse tanks. Okay, so the medium walker says 8 feet wide, 10 feet long, 10 feet tall. We just did 10 by 10 by 10 to make it easier. They are not power armor or mecha technically, though in shape they have 2 legs and a body. Adding arms or additional legs will require the limb add-on. This counts as a vehicle rather than starship or mecha. Walkers automatically gain the off-road modification, which is included in the stats. And this really fits what we're doing already. Because when we look at these, it's exactly what they are. They are just 2 legs and a body, and then you can mount weapons on them. So this is super good for us. It does gain a kick attack. So this vehicle gains a kick attack that requires a piloting check to initiate a collision equal to the level of the vehicle, but a successful kick does no damage to the kicker, whereas a collision actually does damage to you too. So why don't we do that right now? So the attack is going to be collision, and that's actually going to be a 4d6, and then kick attack at also 4d6. So we'll go ahead and add those right now. Also, modifications. It has off-road by default. Next, okay, speed. So we have 30, 50, and 10. So 30 feet. Then 50 feet, and travel speed is 10 miles per hour. The energy armor class and kinetic are both 10. It has no cover. Cover is none. HP. Same as the platform, it's 3-1, the hardness is 2. So 3. Would you just go? 1, and 2. We already got that in. Piloting, it's a... I'm on the right thing here, yeah. So it's a +0, -1. And modifications, because it is a medium vehicle, it gets 3. Passengers now. It only has a single pilot. And so, since they by default carry 2, we're going to go ahead and give it 20 bulk in carrying capacity. And so, that is looking good. Now, I'm a little bothered by this whole travel speed thing. Travel speed. Okay, so I think I literally just converted feet to miles per hour. So, like, this jet bike, at full speed, moves 165 feet. Travel speed is 165 miles per hour. The Hornet moves at 120 feet per round. Full speed is 375 feet per round. Travel speed is 375 miles per hour. And if I look down, the Wraith Fighter, 75, 175, travel speed is 175 miles an hour, which seems a little bit low for a jet, but okay. But I mean, the Warwalker, speed is 40 feet per round, full speed is 65, travel 65. Okay, so that's what we've been doing. And I'm good to keep going with that, which means that this self-propelled vehicle can go up to 60 miles per hour. So you can literally sit on this thing and then just like drive it. You're not technically a passenger. Don't fall off. And that means that our Sentinel Walker can go about 50 miles per hour. Which is good. I like that. That seems better. Because, I mean, like, if it can only go 10 miles an hour, it's better than walking, but not by much. I think at a full sprint, it should be able to go. And, like, I think of things like Zoids. Did anybody else watch Zoids? I love Zoids. It's making a comeback, or at least it's trying really hard to make a comeback. It's trying to make a comeback, but not enough people know about it. But when I think about them, I mean, Zoids are, by and large, because they're these giant mechanical animals, they tend to be rather large, lumbering, plodding. Okay, and if you watched the original series, which was Chaotic Century, you spent a lot of time with the main characters, and they had what was called a Gustav, which was a snail Zoid. There was the Shield Liger, and a Command Wolf. Okay, that was the main team. That was your main characters. And when they were walking, the the Gustav actually has wheels, so I'm not going to count that one. But when they're walking, the Shield Liger and the Command Wolf are not terribly fast. They're really not. They're faster than walking, sure. But it's not crazy. However, that being said, when they do break into a run, they're quick. They're super quick. So there is a rather large dichotomy between how fast you normally travel and how fast you can go. And we see that in humans too. I mean, look at the Olympic sprinters. I mean, they go really fast, but guess what? They still walk about the same speed as everybody else. They can just go really fast when they want to. So this fits, having the Sentinel go 50 miles per hour. I don't imagine it's going to be a rather pleasant ride, but, you know, it could be. But okay, like I said, I don't want to get into the rest of them. We still have the Chimera, the Taurox, the Hellhound, the Leman Russ to go. Given that the Chimera, the Hellhound, and the Leman Russ are all tanks, essentially, I may combine them. Unless I have a reason not to. So, the Chimera says that it's an infantry armored transport. So if I look at the Chimera, Now look at the technical specifications of it. So the crew is a commander, gunner, and driver. Okay, that's fine. But it says the troop transport. How many people does it carry? The main armament is ×2 heavy bolters, secondary heavy bolters or heavy flamers. Access points are on the rear. Here's another pattern. But you know what I'm not seeing? For a transport, how many people does it carry? Let's see. The primary duty for the Chimera is to accompany tanks into battle and provide protection for guardsmen within so they may support the tanks. Standard doctrine states that after the Chimera reaches the objective, it lays down covering fire with its heavy weapons while the squad within disembarks and advances. The Chimera then falls back to a firing position from which it can still support the infantry and await orders to race forward and collect the squad again to reposition them. So yeah, it is a troop transport. But how many troops does it carry? It is rugged. The driver and gunner sit forward. The commander sits in the turret and operates the turret-mounted multi-laser. In the rear of the vehicle, the troop compartment has room for 12 guardsmen and their equipment. Okay, so it actually does carry 12 guardsmen, which is good. Okay, we needed that. Carries 12. Now, what about... Where is it? How about the Hellhound? Does this thing carry people? Or is it just a tank? Let's see. Select few guardsmen have been foolhardy enough to do it. The Inferno Cannon is short range, but like I said, when we made the Heavy Flamer as a vehicle weapon, you can make it bigger to turn it into an Inferno Cannon if you want. Let's see. Different patterns. The Mars pattern, popular among guard commanders. It has a remotely operated turret. The Greya pattern has replaces a cargo part with a large fuel cell. So it looks like this thing does not carry people, like, at all. Which is great. Okay, that's fantastic. So we'll have one stat block for chimeras. We'll have one for the Taurox because the Chimera is a tracked vehicle. The Taurox is a I mean, it's not a wheeled vehicle, but it's kind of a wheeled vehicle. I don't know. What? So the Taurox is an armored personnel character for the Imperial Guard. How many do you move? Does it even tell me? Quad tracks, supercharged engine allowed to go nearly anywhere, hurtling across ruined cities and rubble-strewn wastelands with equal speed. It is armed with twin-linked autocannons mounted on either sides, or on either of its sides, or turret and pintle-mounted storm bolters. It is slightly less robust than the Chimera APC, but it is made up for with its speed thanks to its Castellan quad tracks. The mobility is so reliable that Imperial Guard commanders often choose to bring them on long campaigns that range across multiple war fronts. Whether their regiment ends up fighting inside a hive, jungles, or open land... Yeah. Okay, so here's what I think I'm going to do. I realize that the Taurox has tracks, but I think that I'm going to treat it as a wheeled vehicle. And what I may do is I may just give it like the off-road quality to make up for that. So like if I look at here, watercraft, no, I don't want that. Tracked vehicles, okay. So, medium car-sized tracked vehicle provides a stable platform for vehicles like snowmobiles and small military tanks. These carry up to 3 medium passengers, small cargo area. It is 8 feet wide, 10 feet long, 10 feet tall. Large tracked vehicles are kind of the same thing. Military tanks, heavy cargo crawlers, seen as this vehicle type. These vehicles carry up to 8 medium passengers and cargo, or a large, heavier payload. The vehicle is 12 feet wide, 12 feet long, 12 feet tall. Does not say that it really gets any kind of special thing, though, for being tracked. And so, I'm not sure what we really want to do with it. Like, why would you choose a tracked vehicle over a wheeled vehicle? And I have to assume that it's due to stats. So, large tracked vehicle. Let's compare level 20 large tracked vehicles and level 20 large wheeled vehicles. So, here we go. So, tracked. It moves at 50, 100, and has a top speed of 60 miles an hour. Wheeled, 65, 150, and 32 miles an hour. So, technically, at travel speed, the tracked vehicle is faster than the wheeled vehicle? That doesn't make any sense, though. That's like saying that, you know, an Abrams tank is faster than, you know, just a standard military truck. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I'm relatively certain that on the same road, the military truck can probably outrun the tank. And I do realize that Abrams tanks can go about 60 miles an hour. But I'm sure that a diesel big boy can go faster than 60 miles an hour. This doesn't make any sense here. Okay, armor. The tank has 20 and 30. The truck has 18 and 20. That makes sense. At level 20, they both have full cover. At level 20, the tank has 250 hit points. The truck has 60. What is this? Oh, the hardness of the tank is 30. The truck is 20. The tank has a -7 piloting modifier, -10 at full speed. The truck is only -6 and -8. I gotta be honest, though, rules as written, I don't see a reason to take a truck. I really don't. Why would you? So, I mean, let's go by my own rules, okay? Let's go by my rules. By my rules, we set the maximum speed of these things by the full speed. Which, by my rules, means that the tank would go 100 miles an hour. I may adjust that down. Because 100 miles an hour for a tank is a little ludicrous. However, that also means that the truck would go 150 miles an hour, and I think that sounds a lot better. Again, we can dial them down if we want to. Like, I can actually do some research and say, you know, well, I'll go to Google. Like, I know how fast the Abrams tank goes because the Abrams tanks is awesome. And let's see. A diesel military truck. There we go. The M939 Series 5 or Series 5-ton 6x6 truck. It is exactly what you think of when you think military truck. It's big, it's blocky, it's dirty. It's just got a bed in the back of it with some fences on it. It's exactly what you think of when you think military truck? The mass is 22,000 pounds, so this thing weighs 11 tons. Again, it's exactly what you would think of. The length is 27 feet, width 8 feet, height 10 feet. It's big. The engine is a Cummins 6CT A8.3, 240 horsepower. Is that a lot? I'll be honest with you, I never really grasped the idea of horsepower. I don't know if 240 horsepower is a lot or not. The transmission is a 5-speed automatic. It's on leaf springs. Maximum speed is 55 miles an hour. The Abrams tank is actually faster than this thing. I feel like I have to go rethink my life now. Okay, well, maybe I just make them the same. If I make them the same speed, there's no reason to use them. You know, I'll figure it out next time. Because, like, I've had enough. My brain is fried. I'm sleep deprived. It's been a long, like, 3 weeks. I think it's about time for us to go ahead and get out of here. So, we'll be happy with what we did so far. And what we did so far was really good. Okay? We got all the weapons done, and they look fantastic. I cannot wait to have a chance to play with them. That's going to be fantastic. As far as the vehicles we've done so far, I'm happy with them. I do like the idea of the self-propelled weapon. I love the idea of just being able to walk along with this thing following you, carrying this giant cannon that even you can't lift. Because let's remember, all of these large weapons are uncarryable by your character. So if you wanted to carry like an autocannon, you can't. Not very well anyway. Like you could carry it, but it would be significant and you would not be able to use it effectively. However, get yourself a self-propelled weapon platform, slap the autocannon on top of it, and just walk into battle with the remote control. Can you carry the weapon? No. However, when you push the button, honestly, it doesn't really matter anymore. Because that weapon is still going to fire and it's going to wipe out everything. And it will be magnificent. So when we come back, we'll work on the rest of them. I'll try and figure out what the difference is between a tank and a truck. You'd think it'd be easy, but apparently it's not. Or maybe, okay? Maybe me using the M1A1 Abrams tank as my standard bearer is just being unrealistic. Perhaps it is that tank that is the standout, and I should be referring to something else. Only problem is I don't know what we actually used before the Abrams tank. I'll have to look into that. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get out of here. Probably take a nap. Nap sounds good right about now. But if you want to see more of this next time, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified when these videos come out. I do my best to notify people on my own, but it always helps to have notifications turned on just in case. If you know somebody else who's also into either Warhammer 40k or tabletop gaming and you think they might enjoy this, share it with them. I know, it's all spreadsheets and wikis and things, but I do my best to make spreadsheets fun. And if that is not the most middle management thing that anyone has ever said, I don't know what is. If you are enjoying this though, leave a like on the video, either now or later or whenever you have me watching this. Just leave a like. Likes help. They make me feel good. I don't know if they actually make a difference, but they make a difference to me. So leave a like on that. Leave a comment down below. Leave a comment in the chat. Leave a comment in the Discord. Apparently the link in the Discord already doesn't, or the link down below for Discord doesn't work. So I'll have to go back and replace that. But if you cannot find a link that works, leave a comment down below. Tell me that you want in the Discord. I will personally get you your own invite link. Guaranteed to work. Okay, I will do that for you. Because if you want to play with us, you gotta be on the Discord. You got to come to the Discord, you got to go to the behind the scenes channel and let me know what your availability is. Then we can find a home for you. So, I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, take care.